Every day at 8 o'clock, though, here over the next 5 weeks, we are going through the most intriguing Seahawks, the 25 most intriguing Seahawks here at camp. Number 25 was Drew Lock, of course. Number 24, Brock, do you remember his name?
Nope.
Chris Stoll. He's your new long snapper, and that'll just be a little trivia question because he won't matter unless he does. Today, though, we're on to the next guy on our list.
I wasn't ready. Sorry.
What do you mean you weren't ready?
Oh, it's training camp.
Oh, Mora.
Mora.
Number 23.
No.
Number 23.
Slack.
Mora.
I mean, I just stalled for like 2 minutes for her, for God's sakes. How much slack does she get?
He was in here distracting me.
G's fault.
Oh.
Yeah, it was G's fault.
Oh, it's G's fault. That makes sense, actually. Yeah, that's pretty. As far as excuses go, being distracted by G is a pretty good one. Number 23, most intriguing Seahawk, Tre Brown. Cornerback.
Oh.
Yeah, didn't do a whole lot last year, had a whole bunch of injuries, but if you go back 2 years, he was a feisty little rookie, man. Everybody seemed to really like him. Pete Carroll said after a game that they liked a whole bunch of the things that he was doing.
Yeah, he does, and he's making his plays down the field, too. You know, when he's challenged deep, he's been in position a number of times already, and so there's a consistency about him and a toughness about him, and you're right. You can see it. He's feisty. You know, he's got a real attitude that we love to add into the group. So he's doing a good job.
He's got a lot of those qualities that Pete likes. Maybe not the ideal size for a cornerback in Pete's scheme, but he's got all the other...
Heart, A. Scrap, A.
Right.
Size, not ideal.
Right, and it seems to impress his fellow teammates. Bobby Wagner, before he left and came back, definitely liked what he saw.
I think the biggest thing is the way that he studies the game. I think that's what gives him his confidence. And then he plays with no fear. You know, when he sees something, he goes. And that was something that you noticed, you know, when he first got here. He wasn't afraid to take a chance. And sometimes, you know, when you have a young guy or rookie come in, they want to do right. And they want to be like the playbook so bad that it almost makes them scared to be instinctive.
Yeah, he says that's not who Tre Brown is at all. He doesn't have any fear. He goes right after it. So if you rewind a year and a half or so, Brock, there was some real conversation about Tre Brown being the long-term starter. Now, the Seahawks, since then, brought in Mike Jackson last year, who had a fantastic year. Obviously, they drafted Devin Witherspoon. Twice now they've brought in Artie Burns. They drafted Tariq Woolen, who's turned himself into a top-notch corner. So a lot has changed since Tre Brown first kind of arrived on the scene and started having success. But at the time, you know, guys like Paul Moyer, who certainly has a lot of experience with the secondary, he thought he was going to be like the guy long term.
But what I know is when I watch the film, he's really smart at reading what type of routes are coming and also reading the quarterback. And there's just a timing to it. And it's hard. He does things you can't teach. He just has a really good feel for the game. He has a really good feel for when the ball's in the air. He's got confidence. You got to be confident as a corner. And I don't even care if you're cocky, arrogant. It's the one position you really can get away with it, and you need to be, because you cannot worry about mistakes. At the same time, you better be a smart guy, because you can't make mistakes at corner.
You look at the depth chart right now, Brock, and he is probably fourth?
Tariq, Devin, Jackson. He'd be the fourth.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying Kobe Bryant, who played so much at nickel. I know it's a
he's
slightly
more
different
nickel.
spot.
He's ahead of him on the outside.
Okay.
Kobe's an inside. Yeah, he's going to be a nickel. So he'd be your fourth corner. And I think the biggest disruption to his career arc is twofold. It's his knee, his injury, unfortunately, one. And then this guy named Tariq Woolen, who couldn't play corner at University of Texas San Antonio as a roadrunner, and then becomes an all-pro caliber corner as a rookie. So that one kind of disrupted the apple cart that was going down a pretty good path, Tre's rookie year, where he was all of those things, feisty and scrappy and could play the ball and could see the ball and do a lot of things, Mike, that some of the previous iterations of corner could not do. Mm-hmm. I remember watching a lot of these guys that, okay, you've got the length, you've got the size, but you can't play the ball. You can't read things. And, yeah, he got quick feet. And he was kind of the one that broke some of, I think, Pete's preference for these like size, length, shape of corners that he had.
Because he was better than Thorold Simon.
Yeah. Yeah, and who was the guy that then became a safety with the Bengals? I'm blank. Trey Flowers. Yes. Yeah, you're better than those guys. Better in and out, better adjustment, better ball awareness, better all those things. And he'd be the one now that would benefit Trey maybe as much as anybody of Devin Witherspoon trying to get more cash. If Devin's going to miss some reps and miss some opportunities, Tre Brown's going to be the one that says, whew, thank you. And Tariq Woolen, by the way, going to largely, I think anticipate starting this year on PUP too. So if there's no Witherspoon and there's no Tariq today on the field, I think you're probably looking at Jackson and Tre Brown with the number ones.
Yeah.
Which is great news for him.
If he is assuming those guys come back and assuming that they don't trade from their position of strength, meaning corner and safety, what does his year look like? Because as you said, 4th on the depth chart. But it's not just that, because you do add Kobe Bryant in when you start talking about a nickel package. You do add in whether it's going to be Love or even Jared. I mean, like, you got a bunch of safeties who can kind of play in that role as well. How much does it get to see the field?
Best case scenario, and this sounds terrible to say, but best case scenario, Reek comes back and Devin's there and gets the work in. And
yeah.
Best case scenario, this kid lights it up in the preseason games, has a couple picks.
Trade him.
And he's traded. Because other teams need corners. That is in the supply and demand world. You don't have enough supply of big guys in the interior, and you've got a lot of supply of guys on the perimeter. I hope he and Dre and Eskridge have unbelievable preseason games, so that those are maybe a couple guys on the perimeter where teams have needs around the league, that you can find a partner that, well, hopefully they have a supply of some big people.